The impact of power on culinary habits. Through history. Here is the rewritten and refined version of your text in English, ensuring accuracy and avoiding any copyright concerns. Food is fundamental to survival and well-being. Regardless of whether one is born into luxury or modest circumstances, personal preferences shape dietary choices. However, access to food varies greatly, and some individuals, particularly those in positions of extreme power, can indulge in extravagant and unusual culinary habits. Throughout history, certain authoritarian leaders have been known for their bizarre food preferences, reflecting both their personalities and the excesses of their rule. One of the most well-documented cases is that of Kim Jong-il, the former leader of North Korea. While the country suffered from severe food shortages and a tightly controlled economy, Kim Jong-il had unrestricted access to the world's finest delicacies. His former personal chef, Kenji Fujimoto, revealed that the dictator had an exceptionally refined palate and could detect even the slightest alteration in his meals. On one occasion, he reportedly noticed an almost imperceptible increase in sugar content in his sushi. Kim Jong-il's approach to food was highly meticulous. Each grain of rice for his meals was individually inspected by a team of women to ensure uniformity in size and shape. His sushi preferences were particularly unusual. He insisted that his seafood be so fresh it was still moving when served. His culinary desires often led to extravagant food sourcing missions. Fujimoto was frequently dispatched to Japan for high-quality seafood, to Uzbekistan and Iran for caviar, and to Czechoslovakia for draft beer. The North Korean leader also had an affinity for luxurious beverages, favoring fine French wines and champagne, as well as Hennessy cognac. Despite his penchant for luxury, one of Kim Jong-il's favorite dishes was surprisingly humble: roasted donkey. However, during a visit to Russia, when he presented the dish to local dignitaries, it was euphemistically referred to as heavenly cow to avoid any potential offense. Another dictator known for his extreme habits was Joseph Stalin, the Soviet leader infamous for his heavy drinking. Vodka was his beverage of choice, but what made his drinking habits truly distinctive was how he used alcohol as a tool of manipulation. Stalin frequently hosted drinking parties, inviting political figures and close associates. These gatherings were not just social events. They served as strategic opportunities to extract information from inebriated guests. Participation in these drinking sessions was not optional. As Nikita Khrushchev once recalled, refusing to drink was simply not allowed. Stalin would insist on endless toasts, compelling guests to drink glass after glass. He even devised drinking games, such as guessing the outdoor temperature and consuming a full glass of vodka for each degree they miscalculated. This often left guests severely intoxicated, making them more susceptible to revealing sensitive information. One particularly excessive occasion took place in 1942 when Wendell Willkie, a potential U.S. presidential candidate, attended a dinner where an astonishing 53 vodka toasts were made. Despite the revelry, there was always an underlying sense of fear. One wrong word or an ill-timed remark could have dire consequences. Stalin himself, however, was not immune to the effects of his drinking habits. After a heavy night of drinking on February 28, 1953, he suffered a massive stroke and was found unconscious the next morning. He never recovered and died 4 days later at the age of 74. Moving from excessive drinking to strong flavors, Benito Mussolini had a peculiar obsession with raw garlic. Unlike the bloodthirsty image often associated with authoritarian rulers, Mussolini's choice of food suggested he was anything but a vampire. His favorite dish was a simple salad made of raw garlic, olive oil, and fresh lemon juice. While this might seem appetizing in moderation, Mussolini was known to consume it in excessive quantities. His love for raw garlic was so overpowering that it became a source of discomfort for his family. His wife, Rachel, once confided to the family cook that after he consumed an entire bowl of the pungent dish, she found his presence unbearable. She would often retreat to sleep in one of their children's rooms rather than endure the overpowering smell. Fidel Castro, the Cuban revolutionary leader, had a very different obsession: ice cream. While ice cream is a beloved treat for many, Castro's passion for it reached extraordinary levels. His fascination with dairy reportedly began in childhood and remained a defining trait throughout his life. The renowned writer Gabriel Garcia Marquez once described an incident in which Castro consumed an astonishing 18 scoops of ice cream in one sitting after a meal. On another occasion, Castro had his Canadian ambassador send him 28 containers of ice cream, each containing a different flavor. Dissatisfied with relying on foreign imports, he decided to establish his own world-class ice cream parlor. This led to the creation of Copelia, a massive ice cream parlor in Havana. However, due to the US embargo on Cuba in 1962, Castro was unable to import the dairy products necessary for his favorite dessert. Determined to overcome this obstacle, he spent years developing Cuba's dairy industry. By 1966, his vision became a reality with the grand opening of Copelia, an ice cream emporium capable of accommodating up to 1,000 customers at once. The parlor quickly gained international fame, with Castro even sending Copelia's ice cream to political allies, food expos, and dignitaries as a symbol of Cuba's self-sufficiency. In his eyes, this was a demonstration that Cuba could rival American production in every way. Not all dictators indulged in extravagant or unusual meals for strategic purposes. Some simply had a surprising fondness for particular treats. Saddam Hussein, the former Iraqi leader, had a well-documented appreciation for Western sweets, particularly quality street chocolates. Unlike most people who only see large tins of quality street around the holiday season, Hussein had a constant supply of the confectionery. British politician George Galloway, who visited Hussein in 2002, described seeing various British food products in his residence, including quality street chocolates. During their meeting, Hussein offered Galloway a piece of chocolate, encouraging him to choose his favorite. Although Hussein did not reveal his own preferred variety, the presence of these chocolates in his home was a stark contrast to the hardships endured by many in Iraq. For countless people around the world, opening a tin of quality street only to find it repurposed for storing sewing supplies is a common disappointment. But for Saddam Hussein, these chocolates were always readily available. A small yet telling detail about his indulgent lifestyle. These peculiar eating habits offer a glimpse into the personalities of some of history's most infamous leaders. Whether using food as a means of control, indulging in excessive luxury, or fixating on a simple pleasure, their diets reflect both their power and their eccentricities.